There's a voice inside your head, and it's always speaking. When life throws chaos your way, a tough conversation, a career setback, or unexpected bad news, that voice either lifts you up or drags you down. Most people don't realize this, but the way you talk to yourself in those moments can decide whether you rise above or spiral out of control. Picture this. You're driving to a crucial meeting, already behind schedule. Traffic is heavy, your mind races, and that voice whispers, "I'm going to fail. Why does this always happen to me?" Sound familiar? What if I told you that voice could become your greatest ally? A powerful guide that keeps you calm, focused, and resilient no matter what storm you face. Today, you'll discover 7 proven techniques to transform your inner dialogue and unlock a deep sense of inner peace. These are practical steps, grounded in Stoic wisdom, that will help you control your thoughts, master your emotions, and stay calm under pressure. And here's the best part. Once you master this skill, your ability to manage stress, anxiety, and self-doubt will change forever. Now, I want you to think back. Has your inner voice ever sabotaged you during a critical moment? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience could inspire someone else. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share could be the turning point that helps you break free from negativity and find the calm you've been seeking. 1. Turn your inner voice into your greatest ally. Your mind never stops talking. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, it's there, whispering, questioning, analyzing. It shapes how you see yourself, how you respond to pressure, and how you handle setbacks. For many people, that voice isn't kind. It's critical, unforgiving, and relentless. It feeds you doubts like poison. You're not good enough. You always mess things up. Nothing ever works out for you. This inner voice isn't just noise, it's powerful. Left unchecked, it turns small problems into overwhelming crises. A minor mistake becomes proof you're a failure. A slow morning spirals into a wasted day, and before you know it, you've spent hours, even days, drowning in self-criticism. But here's the truth, that voice isn't your enemy. It's a tool, one that can either destroy you or build you up. The key lies in learning how to control it. The Stoics knew this well. They believed that the mind is like a fortress, and the words you speak to yourself are the soldiers guarding its gates. If those words are weak, your mind becomes vulnerable to fear, doubt, and chaos. But if those words are strong, your mind becomes unshakable. Controlling your inner dialogue starts with one powerful shift. Stop speaking to yourself like a critic and start speaking to yourself like a coach. When you're overwhelmed, your mind naturally jumps to worst-case scenarios. It tells you everything that could go wrong, and it sounds convincing because fear has a louder voice than reason. But instead of letting that spiral continue, interrupt it with deliberate, calming words. Imagine facing a stressful situation. Your boss calls you in unexpectedly, or your finances feel unstable. Instead of letting panic run wild, pause and tell yourself, "I can handle this. I've faced challenges before, and I know how to adapt. I can't control everything, but I can control my response." These words may seem simple, but they carry weight. Each time you speak them, you shift your mind from panic to clarity. Instead of drowning in worst-case scenarios, you create space for calmness to grow. And it's not just about comfort. This practice sharpens your mind. When you replace panic with calm self-talk, you improve your focus, decision-making, and resilience. Your brain stops fixating on problems and starts searching for solutions. The Stoics taught that most suffering isn't caused by the event itself. It's caused by our interpretation of that event. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does that mean in practice? It means that no matter what happens, your first reaction should always be to calm your mind. Acknowledge the fear, frustration, or doubt, then answer it with a stronger thought. When your mind says, "I can't handle this," answer it with, "I may not like this, but I can manage it." When your mind whispers, "I'm not good enough," reply with, "I am learning and I'm improving every day." When your mind shouts, "I'm failing," respond with, "I've faced setbacks before and I'm still standing." This isn't false positivity, it's discipline. Stoic wisdom doesn't ask you to ignore reality. It asks you to face it with strength. To speak words that steady your mind rather than feeding your fears. Training your mind to speak this way doesn't happen overnight. Negative thoughts have momentum, and they will push back. But persistence changes everything. Each time you interrupt negativity with calm, deliberate words, you weaken its grip. Some days will be harder than others. In moments of extreme pressure, your mind may resist. Old habits will try to pull you back into self-doubt. When that happens, remember this: your inner voice doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be intentional. Even a simple phrase like, "I'm doing my best," repeated with conviction, can pull you back from the edge. The Stoics understood that true strength doesn't come from pretending life is easy. It comes from learning to talk to yourself in a way that creates courage, even in moments of uncertainty. Start now. The next time you feel overwhelmed, speak to yourself like a coach, not a critic. Use calm, steady words that remind you of your ability to handle what's in front of you. When your mind feels restless, remind yourself, "I am calm. I am in control of my response." When doubt creeps in, say, "I am learning. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to keep moving forward." When you feel overwhelmed, repeat, "This moment will pass. I will handle this one step at a time." Words like these aren't just comforting, they're powerful. They train your mind to resist panic, stay focused, and maintain calm even in chaos. And the more you practice, the stronger this mindset becomes. Your inner voice will no longer be a source of fear. It will become your greatest ally, guiding you with clarity and strength through whatever life throws your way. 2. Build a calm mindset with power affirmations. Your mind is constantly feeding you thoughts. Some are helpful, but many are destructive. Under pressure, that destructive voice gets louder. It jumps to conclusions, exaggerates problems, and convinces you that chaos is all there is. In those moments, your mind becomes your greatest threat, unless you take control. The Stoics believe that peace isn't found by avoiding hardship, but by mastering your response to it. You can't control every storm life throws at you, but you can control what you say to yourself in the middle of it. Words shape your mind, and your mind shapes your reality. If you fill your thoughts with panic, self-doubt, and fear, your mind will follow that path. But if you speak words of calmness and strength, your mind will build a different path, one that leads to clarity, focus, and control. That's the power of affirmations. Simple, deliberate words that shift your mental state in moments of pressure. But affirmations only work if you use them correctly. They're not magic, they're mental conditioning. If you repeat empty words without conviction, they'll fade like smoke. But when you speak calm, powerful affirmations with belief, they anchor your mind in stability. Suppose you're facing a difficult conversation, one that could change the direction of your career. Before walking in, your mind starts to spin. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I look weak? What if I fail? At that moment, you have a choice. Let those thoughts take over, or answer them with stronger words. Instead of feeding the panic, say to yourself, "I am calm. I can only control my response right now. I trust that I can handle whatever comes next." These words won't erase the pressure, but they will give your mind direction, grounding you in focus and pulling you away from fear. Affirmations work best when they're specific and personal. Words like "I am confident" can feel empty if you don't believe them. Instead, anchor your affirmations in actions you control. Instead of "I am fearless," try, "I may feel afraid, but I know I can take the next step." Instead of "I am strong," say, "I've faced worse before, and I'm still standing." This aligns directly with Stoic wisdom, the belief that strength isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The strength he described isn't loud or forceful. It's calm, deliberate, and composed. It's the strength of a mind trained to stay steady no matter what's happening around it. I once knew someone who learned this the hard way. He was a close friend, a man known for his calmness until life pushed him past his limits. His business had just failed. His marriage was strained. His health was slipping. One night, he hit his breaking point. Alone in his apartment, overwhelmed and exhausted, his mind spiraled out of control. He told me later that his thoughts became his worst enemy. "I'm a failure. I can't fix this. Everything's falling apart." But somehow, in the middle of that storm, he paused, just for a moment. Then he said something to himself that changed everything. "This isn't the end. I can take one step forward." That's all he said. One sentence. But it was enough to break the spiral. His mind shifted from panic to focus. He didn't suddenly solve his problems, but he stopped sinking. He stopped feeding his mind with fear and started feeding it with calmness. The next morning, he wrote down a list of simple affirmations, words that reminded him of his strength when his mind tried to convince him otherwise. I can handle this one step at a time. I am calm. I am focused. I can't control everything, but I can control my next decision. He spoke those words every morning, and over time, they became his anchor. His situation didn't change overnight, but his mindset did. He rebuilt his business. He repaired his marriage. He regained control of his life because he first learned to control his mind. That's the power of deliberate self-talk. Affirmations aren't just positive words. They are instructions. They tell your mind how to think when panic tries to take over. But here's the key. Affirmations only work if you practice them before the chaos hits. You can't wait for panic to arrive and expect calm words to appear on their own. Just like a soldier trains before the battle, you must train your mind before the storm comes. Start your mornings with calm affirmations. Speak them out loud, not just in your head. Words have weight when you hear them. Say them like you mean them. I choose calm over panic. I trust myself to find solutions. I can't control everything, but I can control my response. Speak these words daily. Train your mind to stay calm before stress arrives. When you practice this habit, you're not just repeating words, you're reshaping your mental patterns. The Stoics believe that a calm mind isn't something you stumble upon, it's something you build. Each calm word you speak becomes another brick in that foundation. So when pressure comes, and it will, you won't crumble. You'll stand firm, grounded in calmness, clear-headed in chaos, because you've trained your mind to respond with strength instead of fear. 3. Visualize calmness. Master peace before the storm hits. Your mind always searches for patterns. In moments of stress, it doesn't create new responses. It repeats what feels familiar. If your default reaction is panic, your mind will race toward anxiety the moment pressure appears. If you've conditioned your mind to stay calm, that's the response it will return to. This is why visualization is so powerful. It's not daydreaming or fantasy. It's training. By mentally rehearsing calmness before chaos strikes, you teach your brain to instinctively choose focus instead of fear. Professional athletes rely on this. Before stepping onto the field, they visualize their moves, their reactions, and their mindset. They see themselves staying composed under pressure. So when the pressure becomes real, they don't panic. They follow the mental blueprint they've already built. This same principle applies to your mind. Stress triggers automatic responses, unless you've trained your mind to do something different. Visualization is that training. Picture yourself in a situation that typically overwhelms you. Maybe it's walking into a difficult conversation. Maybe it's presenting in front of a crowd. Maybe it's navigating an unexpected setback. Instead of imagining everything going wrong, visualize yourself handling it with calmness. See yourself breathing steadily, thinking clearly, and responding with confidence. The details matter. Picture the environment, the sounds, the faces, the tension in the room. Then picture yourself steady and composed, unaffected by the chaos around you. In your mind, rehearse calm words like, I can handle this. I am calm, focused, and in control. No matter what happens, I will respond with strength. When you visualize calmness, you aren't just thinking positively, you're programming your mind. Each mental rehearsal strengthens the neural pathways linked to calm, making that response easier to access in real life. Your mind will resist this at first. It's easier to imagine failure than success. That's human nature. But the more you practice, the stronger that calm mental blueprint becomes. The Stoics taught that we must prepare our minds for hardship before it arrives. Seneca warned that life's challenges often hit hardest when we aren't ready for them. By rehearsing calmness, you prepare your mind to meet those moments with strength instead of panic. In the face of stress, most people freeze. Their minds race, their hearts pound, and their thoughts spiral. But those who've trained their minds respond differently. They pause, breathe, and follow the path they've already rehearsed. I once heard about a man who embodied this. He worked as a crisis negotiator, the kind of person who walks into rooms filled with tension and fear, In those high-stakes situations, panic would have been disastrous. He told me his secret. Every morning, he visualized chaos. He imagined the worst scenarios: shouting voices, sudden threats, overwhelming pressure. Then, in his mind, he practiced staying calm. He rehearsed his breathing, his tone of voice, and his ability to think clearly. He told me that visualization wasn't just a routine, it was survival. By mentally walking through those storms before they happened, his mind learned to respond with calmness by default. One day, that training saved him. During a heated negotiation, a man suddenly reached into his jacket, and in that split second, everyone froze. Some thought he was pulling out a weapon. The tension in the room was like a knife. But the negotiator stayed calm. He spoke slowly, kept his posture steady, and de-escalated the situation. The man wasn't reaching for a weapon, he was grabbing his phone. But if panic had taken over, things could have ended differently. When I asked how he stayed so composed, he said this: "I'd been in that situation 100 times before, in my mind, so when it actually happened, I knew what to do." That's the power of visualization. It trains your mind to stay calm when pressure strikes. It builds a path for your thoughts to follow when fear tries to take control. This practice doesn't take hours. Just a few minutes each morning can reshape how you respond to stress. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and picture yourself in a challenging situation. Imagine yourself breathing steadily, speaking clearly, and making calm decisions. If your mind starts feeding you doubts, "What if I fail?" answer those thoughts with calm words. "I've prepared for this. I know how to stay calm." The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus warned that emotions often overpower reason, unless you train yourself to respond differently. Visualization is that training. It's mental armor you build before the battle begins. The next time life throws chaos your way, you'll feel the difference. Your mind won't panic. It will follow the blueprint you've created. Instead of drowning in anxiety, you'll respond with calmness, clarity, and control. Visualization doesn't stop problems from happening, but it trains your mind to face them with strength. And that's the difference between reacting emotionally and responding wisely. 4. Flip negative thoughts into empowering beliefs. Your mind often believes what you tell it, even when what you tell it isn't true. Negative thoughts don't ask for permission. They barge in uninvited. When pressure builds, your mind grabs onto the worst-case scenario. It convinces you that failure is inevitable, that you're not good enough, that you can't handle what's ahead. But here's the truth. Those thoughts only hold power if you accept them. Most people don't realize this, but you can challenge negative thoughts. You can replace them with stronger, wiser beliefs. Beliefs that lead you forward instead of pulling you down. This isn't about blind positivity. It's about choosing words that keep you grounded when your mind tries to spiral out of control. When doubt says, "I can't handle this," you answer it with, "I've faced worse before, and I'm still here." When fear whispers, "What if I fail?" you reply, "If I fail, I'll learn and adapt. That's how I've grown stronger." When frustration says, "Nothing ever works out for me," you respond with, "I haven't figured it out yet, but I will." The Stoics knew this well. They believed that thoughts are not facts, they're opinions, and opinions can be challenged. Epictetus taught that the mind often distorts reality. It creates false fears, exaggerated doubts, and imagined disasters. He warned that unless you question those thoughts, they'll control you. Reframing your inner dialogue is about breaking that control. It's about teaching your mind to see reality clearly, without panic or exaggeration. Suppose you're preparing for an important meeting, one that could shape your future. As you sit down to prepare, your mind starts feeding you doubts. You'll mess this up. They won't take you seriously. You're not ready. If you let those thoughts run wild, your confidence crumbles. But if you stop and challenge those thoughts, you change the narrative. Tell yourself, "I've prepared for this. I know my material. I can handle this conversation." This isn't just self-reassurance, it's discipline. It's the mental toughness the Stoics believed was essential. They knew that emotions cloud judgment, so they trained themselves to control their thoughts before their thoughts controlled them. Marcus Aurelius understood this better than anyone. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength doesn't come from ignoring your doubts. It comes from answering them with stronger beliefs. Start by listening to your inner dialogue. Most people drift through life unaware of the thoughts that shape their decisions. Pay attention to the words your mind feeds you. Notice the patterns, especially when you're stressed, tired, or uncertain. Once you've identified those negative patterns, challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is this thought helping me or hurting me? What belief would serve me better right now? This process takes practice. Negative thoughts are stubborn. They cling tightly because they've been repeated so often, but repetition is exactly how you break their hold. Every time you replace a limiting belief with an empowering one, you weaken the old pattern. Each time you speak calm, confident words to yourself, you're training your mind to respond with strength instead of fear. Imagine waking up late on a stressful morning. Your mind jumps to frustration. This whole day is ruined. Stop. Breathe. Say to yourself, I can't control the clock, but I can control how I show up now. Or maybe you're stuck in traffic running behind schedule. Instead of spiraling into anger, say, I can't control this delay, but I can stay calm. These simple shifts change everything. Instead of drowning in frustration, you stay focused. Instead of feeding anxiety, you feed calmness. The key is persistence. Don't expect one positive thought to erase years of negativity. Think of it like training a muscle. Strength builds with consistent effort. The more you practice, the more automatic this mindset becomes. The Stoics believe that your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant will grow. If you allow weeds of doubt and fear to take root, they'll multiply. But if you consistently plant strong, empowering beliefs, those beliefs will thrive, and they'll leave no space for negativity to return. The fact that you've stayed with this journey so far shows your dedication to growth. Don't stop now. Each technique you've learned builds on the last. These mental tools are like armor, protecting you from stress, anxiety, and doubt. And as you master this skill, you'll notice something powerful. Your mind will become quieter. Those racing thoughts, the endless doubts, the voice that once seemed impossible to silence, it will lose its grip, because you've trained yourself to respond with strength, clarity, and calmness. So when negativity strikes, and it will, don't surrender to it. Answer it with words that remind you who you are: calm, capable, and in control. 5. Design a morning ritual that shields you from stress. Your mornings are more powerful than you think. The way you begin your day shapes how you respond to everything that follows. Start your morning in chaos, and you carry that tension with you. Start it with calmness, and you build resilience before the day even begins. Most people let their mornings happen to them. They wake up, grab their phones, and flood their minds with news, emails, and distractions before they've even left bed. That habit leaves no space for clarity, no time to build mental strength before stress appears. The Stoics believed in starting each day with intention. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings by grounding his mind. Before facing the world, he reminded himself of what he could control and what he couldn't. He prepared for conflict, discomfort, and pressure. Not with fear, but with calm acceptance. That's the purpose of a morning ritual, to train your mind before the day tests you. A calm morning routine doesn't eliminate stress, but it builds mental armor that protects you when stress arrives. Start by giving yourself 5 minutes of stillness. No screens, no noise, just you and your thoughts. This simple act resets your mind before distractions flood in. It's a pause, a moment of quiet that helps you control your thoughts before they control you. Next, focus on your breathing. Slow, steady breaths signal your brain that you're safe, even if your mind feels restless. Deep breathing reduces anxiety, lowers cortisol, and grounds your emotions. As you breathe, repeat calm affirmations. Speak them out loud, not just in your head. Words gain power when you hear them. Choose affirmations that anchor you in strength and focus. I choose calm over chaos. I can handle whatever today brings. I trust myself to respond with clarity and patience. These words aren't just comforting, they're mental instructions. They tell your mind how to respond when tension rises. After affirmations, shift your attention to gratitude. Anxiety thrives on what's missing, what's uncertain, unfinished, or out of your control. Gratitude interrupts that spiral. It forces your mind to focus on what's steady, stable, and secure. Take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand. Small moments of peace matter just as much. A warm cup of coffee, the roof over your head, a conversation with a friend, each one grounds you in calmness. Gratitude pulls your mind away from scarcity and redirects it toward abundance. The Stoics understood this well. They knew that most suffering doesn't come from what happens to us, it comes from what we focus on. Gratitude trains your mind to focus on what's present, not what's missing. The next step is to set your intentions. Don't just list tasks, focus on your mindset. Ask yourself, how do I want to respond today? What challenges might arise, and how will I meet them with calmness? What values will guide my actions? By deciding how you'll respond before problems appear, you weaken their power. Instead of reacting emotionally, you follow the path you've already chosen. The final step is movement. A short walk, some stretching, or a few minutes of mindful breathing. Anything that reconnects you to your body. Movement clears mental fog, sharpens your focus, and keeps your emotions grounded. This morning ritual doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about adding more to your schedule. It's about reclaiming the first moments of your day. 5 or 10 minutes of calmness can change how you respond to pressure, anxiety, and frustration. And it's in those moments of frustration that this practice proves its value. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when deadlines pile up, or when unexpected problems appear, that's when your morning ritual shows its strength. Instead of reacting impulsively, you'll respond with calmness, because you've trained your mind to stay steady. The Stoics believed that resilience isn't built in moments of crisis, it's built in moments of preparation. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for chaos to practice calmness. He trained his mind every morning, knowing that calmness is a skill, one that requires daily discipline. Now, it's your turn. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you step into your day, pause. Give yourself a moment of stillness. Breathe deeply. Repeat words that ground you in calmness. Remind yourself that no matter what the day holds, you have the power to respond with focus and strength. Start small. 5 minutes is enough, but stay consistent. Each morning you practice this, you're building a stronger, calmer mind. And soon, you'll notice the difference. You'll face challenges without panic. You'll meet frustration without anger. You'll respond to pressure with clarity instead of chaos. That's the power of a calm morning, and it's a power you control. 6. Unlock the power of gratitude to break free from worry. Worry feeds on what's missing. It thrives on uncertainty. The unpaid bill, the unfinished project, the unanswered question. Your mind spins endless scenarios, each one worse than the last. And the more you focus on what you lack, the more powerless you feel. Gratitude disrupts that cycle. It shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, from anxiety to calmness. When your mind is trapped in panic, gratitude reminds you of what's steady, present, and secure. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that worry wasn't just about fear. It was about attachment. When you cling too tightly to outcomes you can't control, anxiety takes over. But when you train yourself to focus on what you already have, your mind begins to quiet. Gratitude isn't about ignoring your struggles. It's about remembering that even in difficulty, there's still something steady to hold on to, no matter how small. Imagine you're facing a tough day, overwhelming deadlines, unexpected problems, or tension with someone close to you. Your mind jumps to frustration. Why is this happening now? Why can't things ever go right? Pause. Breathe. Then ask yourself one simple question. What's one thing I can be grateful for right now? It could be your health, your family, or simply the fact that you've faced hard days before and made it through. Even the smallest point of gratitude can break the momentum of worry. When Marcus Aurelius faced hardship, he didn't dwell on what he couldn't control. Instead, he grounded himself in gratitude, reminding himself of the strength he had built through past challenges. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Gratitude is that strength. It's the quiet reminder that you are not powerless, that you've faced difficulty before, and you have the tools to face it again. But gratitude isn't just a thought, it's a habit. The more consistently you practice it, the stronger its effects become. Start by ending your day with gratitude. Before you sleep, reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. In fact, the smaller they are, the better. It might be the warmth of your bed after a long day, a kind word from a stranger, or simply the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still trying, still growing. By ending your day with gratitude, you train your mind to shift from anxiety to calmness. Instead of replaying everything that went wrong, you remind yourself of what's steady and secure. Another powerful practice is keeping a gratitude jar. Each day, write one positive moment on a small piece of paper. Something that made you smile, something you handled well, or something you appreciated. On difficult days, open that jar and read those reminders. Gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's evidence. It's proof that calmness, joy, and stability have existed in your life before and will exist again. Even in the middle of hardship, gratitude keeps you grounded. Suppose you're standing in a long grocery store line, running late, feeling frustration rise. Instead of feeding the tension, pause and ask yourself, what's something good that's happened today? It might be a meaningful conversation you had earlier. It might be as simple as remembering you have a home to return to. Whatever it is, let that thought interrupt the frustration. The Stoics knew that gratitude wasn't just about feeling good, it was about shifting focus. By focusing on what's present, rather than what's missing, you train your mind to stay calm under pressure. Epictetus believed that true strength comes from mastering your thoughts. He warned against letting the mind obsess over things you cannot change. Gratitude is that mastery. It's the decision to anchor yourself in what's real, not in fear or uncertainty. On days when anxiety feels overwhelming, gratitude becomes your reset button. Each time you feel panic rising, stop and ask yourself, what's steady in my life right now? What's one small thing I can be thankful for today? It doesn't erase the problem, but it changes your relationship to it. Instead of feeling powerless, you remind yourself of what's within your control. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Gratitude stops being something you try. It becomes the way you see the world. That shift changes everything. You'll face setbacks without feeling defeated. You'll meet frustration with patience. You'll replace endless worry with a quiet sense of calmness, knowing that even when life feels uncertain, there's still something to hold on to. Gratitude isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the choice to focus on what's steady, even when everything else feels unstable. And it's in that mindset, grounded in calmness, clarity, and perspective, that you'll find your greatest strength. 7. Practice the power of mental pauses, a secret weapon for instant calm. Your mind is constantly active. It races ahead, reliving past mistakes or predicting future disasters. It spins endless stories, some true, many imagined, all pulling you further away from calmness. In moments of stress, this mental noise becomes overwhelming. Thoughts pile on top of each other until you feel trapped, drowning in fear, frustration, or doubt. But calmness isn't about silencing your thoughts. It's about learning when to pause. The Stoics believed that mastery of the mind begins with mastery of the moment. They understood that emotions can hijack your judgment if you respond too quickly. That's why they practiced mental pauses, deliberate moments of stillness that reset their thinking. When anxiety spikes, your instincts push you to react immediately. You feel the urge to defend yourself, prove your point, or fix the situation right away. But in those moments, your mind isn't clear, it's chaotic, and reacting to chaos often leads to regret. A mental pause interrupts that cycle. It creates space, a brief between your emotions and your response. In that space, you regain control. Suppose you receive an upsetting email, one that feels unfair or disrespectful. Instinct tells you to reply immediately, to hit send with a message full of frustration. Stop, breathe, pause. Give yourself 10 seconds, just enough time to calm your racing mind. Ask yourself, what's the smartest response, not the fastest one? Or imagine you're in an argument. Tension builds, voices rise, and your mind starts spinning with angry thoughts. You feel that familiar urge to lash out, to say something sharp and cutting. Pause. Step back. Ask yourself, will these words solve the problem or just satisfy my anger? That pause, just a few seconds, gives you the power to choose your response. It stops your emotions from driving your actions. The Stoics believed this was essential. Epictetus warned that emotions are like wild horses, powerful but dangerous if left uncontrolled. Without discipline, those emotions will drag you into actions you'll regret. But if you learn to pause, you regain the reins. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are disturbed by something external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Pausing is how you revoke that power. It's the skill that stops your mind from spiraling out of control. But like any skill, it requires practice. Don't wait for a crisis to test it. Train yourself to pause in calm moments first. Start by practicing micro-pauses throughout your day. Before responding to a difficult email, pause. Before snapping at someone who's irritated you, pause. Before jumping to conclusions, pause. Each time you practice this, you're rewiring your mind to respond with calmness instead of impulse. When anxiety strikes, your mind naturally speeds up. Thoughts race faster and your breathing grows shallow. That's your cue to pause. In those moments, use your breath as an anchor. Slow your breathing, even for a few seconds. Each breath pulls your mind away from panic and back toward calmness. If your thoughts still feel overwhelming, speak calm words to yourself. I give myself permission to pause. I don't have to fix this immediately. I choose calm over chaos. These simple words act like mental brakes, stopping your thoughts before they spiral out of control. Pausing doesn't mean ignoring problems. It's not about avoiding conflict or suppressing emotions. It's about creating space, enough space to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. The Stoics knew that true control doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from controlling yourself. And the first step toward self-control is learning when to pause. On the surface, a mental pause seems small, just a few seconds of stillness. But that brief moment can change everything. It's the difference between lashing out or responding calmly, between reacting emotionally or acting with intention, between regret and resilience. The next time you feel your emotions rising, resist the urge to act immediately. Pause, even if it's just for a breath. Give your mind the space to reset. In that pause, you'll find something powerful, the freedom to choose how you respond. And that choice, not your circumstances, is where true calmness begins. True calmness isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build, one deliberate step at a time. You've learned how to transform your inner voice into your greatest ally. You've discovered the power of positive self-talk, the strength of affirmations, and the clarity that comes from visualizing calmness before chaos strikes. You've seen how reframing negative thoughts gives you control, and how designing a morning ritual anchors your mind in focus and resilience. You've explored the power of gratitude to quiet anxiety, and the strength that comes from mastering the art of mental pauses, the simple yet powerful act of stopping before you react. These are not just ideas, they are practical tools. Each one is a step toward a calmer, stronger mind. But knowing these tools isn't enough. You must practice them. Calmness is like a muscle. It grows stronger with use. The more often you pause before reacting, the easier it becomes. The more you speak words of calmness to yourself, the more naturally your mind will follow those words when pressure appears. You won't master this overnight. Some days will feel easier than others. But with practice, you'll notice a shift. Stress won't grip you as tightly. Frustrations won't linger as long. Anxiety will lose its control because you've built a stronger response, one grounded in calmness, focus, and inner strength. Start small. Pause once today when frustration rises. Whisper calm words to yourself when anxiety creeps in. Choose one simple practice and build from there. And as you practice, share your experience. What strategies have helped you stay calm in difficult moments? What insights have shaped your journey toward inner peace? Your story could inspire someone else to begin theirs.